But the story that has dominated the sport of horse racing in the last week was the news that Jamie Moore, after 968 wins, including 7 Grade 1s, has announced his retirement, and he is in the studio alongside me. Jamie, thank you so much for coming in on a wet and wintry Sunday morning, and also climbing all the steps to make it up to this floor to do this chat in the studio. It's been a strange week, I know, because I imagine it's not a week that you expected when you had your latest injury to have to endure. But if you could begin by telling us what the last few days has been like for you.
Yeah, morning, Rishi, but overwhelming more than anything. I've had so many kind messages, phone calls, gifts, and yeah, it's been amazing. Everyone in racing, a good bunch of people, it seems, yeah.
So if we go back to the fall in November, which obviously has been the last one to lead to the decision, obviously I think when you had the fall, I think I read articles talking about when you were coming back, expecting you to be back. So what happened? How did the process change from coming back to race riding to having to call it a day?
It was, I mean, when I came round, I thought, I knocked out again. I'm a bit worried about that, but it was only after I heard that I'd broke my neck as well when I was in the hospital. Then I started to think, you might be done. But I thought, no, you'll like get the brace. They put the neck brace on. I thought, no, you'll be okay. It was in the back of my mind about being knocked out, but like I said to people before, probably people are bored of hearing it now, but...
You're probably bored of saying it.
Yeah. But it's, I mean, I broke my nose again, and I thought initially I thought if you get smashed in the face and break your nose, I thought it'd knock out most people, you know, but it was the third time in 8 months where I'd been down for over 4 minutes, and that kind of... That did worry me, but I did plan to come back. But all the spinal specialists said, "You've broke your back twice, your neck once. You know, do you want to be in a wheelchair or not?" Basically, you know. And then, but it was the head that finished me. Yeah.
I think I heard you say the phrase in one of the other interviews you've done this week since announcing the retirement that the doctors described the bleeds on your brain, a scattering of bleeds on your brain, as similar to that of a car crash victim. Is that right? Yeah,
that was right. Yeah, he said I've seen a lot of boxers, footballers, rugby players, and your brain don't look like any of theirs. And I thought, well, that's okay. You know, that sounds good. He said it's like a car crash victim. And I was like, oh, no. This was in London a couple of weeks ago, and he was just going, there's a black dot there, there's a black dot there, a black dot there. And I was like, oh, no. I said, well, what can I do for it? And he just said, look, just don't do drugs, don't smoke, don't drink, or don't do any of them. So he said, I could scan you in 6 months, I could scan you in 50 years, it will still look the same. So, but I'm a lot better off than a lot of people, you know, it's okay. So it's just one more fall might have done it, you know.
Ever since you've announced your retirement, the word perspective is something that keeps coming up in my mind when I hear you speak. So I might come to that a little bit later on. But let's just talk about the decision-making process to announce it, especially given how close you are with all your family, and how easy or difficult that process would have been.
It was, I mean, like I said, it'd been on the back of my mind, but then 2 weeks ago when I saw Dr. Sylvester, and Jerry Hill was in on a Zoom call in with it. It was finalised then that you're not coming back, basically. And yeah, I mean, for my family, they were, my mum and dad were helping me whatever I'd want to do, and Lucy was the same, my wife. But they all deep down, I think they all wanted me to stop, you know. So, and I've got 3 children as well. But yeah, it was all, everyone was telling me to stop.
Without wanting to pry, I imagine it must have been quite an emotional moment for you with your family when you did make the decision to call it a day.
No, it actually wasn't, you know.
Really?
Nah, look, it's just carried on as normal, really, you know. It's, yeah, we just, yeah, I think everyone sort of knew it was coming, so. No, it wasn't emotional. It's no.
Okay. But tell me about the reaction from the people in racing. I imagine people that you respect enormously, colleagues, and perhaps people that you didn't even know liked you as much as they clearly do.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I've had phone calls and texts of people in the game that are up there, you know, and I wouldn't have even thought they'd care at all, you know. But and then it's just like I wanted to win Canton yesterday, and all the doormen, you know, and the tea lady there. It's like all of them sort of people. I was getting texts off them, and I work at Fontwell, I work at Ascot, you know, and they got hold of my number, and then owners that I'd ridden for a long time ago for other trainers and stuff. It's yeah, there's been a heck of a lot, and it's been very kind, and I couldn't believe it, because it is just a job, really, you know. And but I'm glad that people the way people have treated me is it's nice that they like the way I've looked after them, you know. And even the young jockeys in the waiting room, you know, I was getting texts off some of the young boys that were just saying thanks for doing this that day, thanks for doing it. I didn't even remember doing that, you know. But they were just so good, so good.
I presume you've realised it's an appreciation of how you've conducted yourself over the last 20-odd years with those people. And I think I've heard you reflect in talking about everybody, as you say, from the very top of the game to the people who made you teas, who looked after you on the door, who got stuff for you and who were there to help, who perhaps don't get enough recognition and credit. You've been at pains to mention them in this week of all weeks, thanking them as much as anything else. Yeah,
well, I go to the races to do my job, and everyone goes to the races to do their job effectively. You know, a lot of people obviously want to bet horses and stuff. They're not doing their job; they're having a day out. But I appreciate what everyone does for me, and there are just a lot of very nice people in racing, you know. And like the old boys that go there because they love racing, you know. You know, and they park your cars and all that, and always have a chat with you. So no, it's been nice.
Let's talk about the career and reflect on, you started in 2001. Your first ever winner, I'm just going to go back to that horse. Can you remember Stormy Sky at Nottingham?
Yeah, I can, I remember.
Do you know who trained Stormy Sky before your dad did?
I can't remember.
Racing TV's Angus McNay.
That's
the reason why I'm bringing it up. Angus McNay trained Stormy Sky, prepped him beautifully for your dad. But that was your first winner at Nottingham on the flat in an amateur riders race. Yeah. November
the 5th. Yeah, I remember it. I remember getting Liv with Ian Mongan to the races that day. I took a while to ride my first win, and not like Ryan, he kicked on straight away and won straight away. But yeah, I took a bit longer. But I remember it was a mile 6 race, and it was lovely to do it.
And obviously you had that association with Martin Pipe early on. How did that come about?
Basically, he was the top trainer. And once I could learn to drive, that I was playing like myself and Ryan. Ryan went to Richard Hannon's because he was training the most winners, really. And Martin Pipe was over jumps. So... I went down there once I got my driver's licence in August. I think I started there in the September, and I loved it down there. It was brilliant, and he was just such a brilliant trainer, you know. And he put a lot of faith in me. It was great times down there.
You won. You were champion conditional whilst you were down there.
Yeah. There was 4 of us in. All tight together, myself, Sam Thomas, Andrew Tinkler and James Davis. Now it's only James is still riding, you know, but we all had a good tussle to the end. I think I beat Sammy by 1 in the end, but I had probably a better last day of the season, I don't know. So, yeah.
But you rode some pretty good horses while you were down at Martin as well. I mean, I think you won an elite hurdle on Well Chief.
Yeah, elite hurdle on Well Chief. My first grade 1 was It Takes Time is in the Ascot Chase. They were actually running it at Lingfield that day. Yeah. They were redoing Ascot at the time. And a good old horse called Horus. Copeland won the Scottish champion hurdle. Yeah, I rode some nice horses there. The Real Bandit, he was a good horse. Buena Vista, there's nice ones down there. Yeah.
You say the words Martin was just a brilliant trainer. What was it that set him apart from everybody else?
It's amazing. So intelligent. Like I remember one day when I went to get instructions to ride, he has his 5 TVs in the house. Like the main one watching the racing, and then there'd be French racing, SIS, and 2 other channels. And there was ITV was on one of the bottom channels, or one of the bottom TVs, and there was a maths question come up over the break, and I can't remember what the question was or anything, but it was like, you definitely would have needed a calculator. And he got it in 2 seconds, you know. I just thought, how does he do it? And then I got my instructions to ride the horse. But he just seemed to keep things so simple.
Right.
And everything was just done so simple. Simple but effective. And, yeah, it really worked. But his attention to detail for having that amount of horses, it was phenomenal what he could do with horses. It really was. When
did you start forming a relationship with Tony McCoy? Because he's been very complimentary about you since you announced your retirement. He's obviously been sympathetic to you. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Obviously, the day that Goan in the Triumph Hurdle, that happened. When did that relationship sort of begin to blossom?
Well, he rode for us. I think I heard this week. It was in '94. He rode Bono's Best. At Cheltenham, won a boys' chase. I remember him winning on the Lanzarote on warm spell from my dad. I think that was '96. I remember my dad saying, "You want to see this lad ride? Like, he's quite good," and he was. And yeah, Dad got on well with AP, and he probably helped him. Dad probably spoke to him about where to go, and he probably said go to Mr. Pipes as well. But he's. Obviously, when I went to Mr. Pipes, AP was the stable jockey at the time, and so I've always been, quite close with him, I suppose, through that way, and always looked up to him. Everyone looks up to him, you know. Yeah. He's different class, but he's always been there. And I got changed on the same side of the weighing room, you know. There was. Right. The valets have their jockeys that side and that side, and there's 3 sets of valets, and AP was on our side, luckily for me. So yeah, you're getting changed next to him a lot, or you know, and in the saunas and all that. And yeah, he had time for everyone, though, you know. So yeah.
You mentioned about that feeling of being in the weighing room that you'll miss. When you think back at the times that you enjoyed through your career and all the people that shared that weighing room, which still remains, you know, a sacred place for the competitors. What was it like for you through your career? And when you try to describe what you're going to miss to people at home, what is that? Yeah,
you're right about sacred place. I mean, on my side, the boys when I first come in the weighing room, there's like Mick Fitzgerald, Carl Llewellyn, Philip Hyde, Warren Marston, McCoy, Dickie Johnson, Tom Sgrui, Noel Feely, Dom Ellsworth, Marcus Foley, and then I was just behind them, and you're in there with your idols. And then on the other side, you can see Timmy Murphy, Chock Vaughan, and Jason Maguire, you know, and Roddy Green was over there, someone who I had a lot of time for as well. And I've missed out on lads, but they were just. No one got too big for their boots in there, but there was so much respect, and you respected everyone. But the way a lot of the lads treated me when I went in there, that's what I wanted to do to the ones coming through to me. I mean, I like the lads, they say they looked up to me, and I can't believe that. But in a way, I can, because the way I looked up to the boys ahead of me. But the valets in there as well, they looked after everyone. Just so well, and there was just it's weird. It's just such a good place, so much fun. I mean, I think it's changed now because people are on the phones all the time now. But I mean, there's that time when we weren't allowed to have our phones on in there, wasn't there? When all them rules came in.
You had to go out to the.
Yeah. So everyone they were interacting a lot more, but and then COVID came in, so then there was the shutters in there. So the weighing room has actually changed a bit. And it's probably not as is as close knit as what it possibly was 15 years ago, you know. But probably times have changed, haven't they? You know, but it's definitely a place I'll miss so much, you know. And it's not just the jockeys and valets, like I say, it's everyone in there.
Yeah.
Everyone in there.
Yeah, because it always seemed that, you know, and don't get me wrong, the weighing room has come in for some criticism in the last couple of years about maybe culture, etc. But there are also positives about things that happen in the weighing room and the way that you look after each other. And it always seemed that when jockeys are down, when they're going through their toughest times, actually that's probably often when the majority of times the weighing room can help people.
Oh, 100%. You know, it's like you're there for each other when things are going brilliant, but like everyone's had the same situation, you know, where things haven't gone right in a race and they're punching walls and doing all sorts, you know. But they do really look out for you, you know. And I mean, I've been there for lads that have been stuck in the hospital at midnight, you know, where you've gone to the races with them, you're trying to get their car home, you try and talk to their other half, and you just, people do just really look out for you, you know. They really, really do. And yeah, I know there's been bad publicity about it, but mainly it's been good, very good.
Let's talk about some of the other horses, and I guess if we were talking about horses that really have a lasting impact on you, there's one horse I think that stands above all else, and that's, I mean, I don't have to say the name. You know, it's 3 words and it starts with S.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell us about when you first set eyes. How did you find Sire De Grugu?
Yeah, I went to Sinon in France, and this day it was Claude Charlet and Geoffrey Huet who organised it, and I sat on 8 horses, and it was actually getting quite depressing because it was like, this is 100 grand, this is 120, this is 130, and I was riding them thinking, I'll give 130 quid for this thing, you know. But and then I think Sire, he was the last one that came out. Big, he's got a very common head on him, and he was trotting a little bit limpy behind, and then so I jumped up on him anyway, and I remember 2 horses went off. We worked as a 3. It was we went over 2 miles, and we jumped 16 jumps in 16 furlongs, basically, you know. And these 2 lads kicked on in front of me, 2 French lads, and I couldn't speak French, they can speak English. And so I thought, right, I'll just see if I can catch them, basically. And yeah, he absolutely slaughtered these 2 horses, and because he was the last one of the day, I knew how to ride the track a bit more, you know, and he absolutely blew me away. I mean, I picked up the phone to Dad and said, look, I said, this horse, he's a little bit lame behind, but I think he's worth having a go. And he was, I think, 30,000 euros. So he was the cheapest one, you know. And I said, look, we might only get 1 year out of him because he is, but I think he's quite good. So yeah, we got him back across to us, and I remember getting off a lorry, and Dad was like, oh, it's lame, isn't it? Well, he'll be all right. We'll patch him up a bit, and yeah, the rest is history, I suppose.
Well, and what a history. His career, I mean, over hurdles, he was pretty good. I think you avoided Cheltenham as a novice with him, and even the following season. But he got placed in the Betfair hurdle at Newbury. Did you know that he was going to be so good at fences when you were going through the hurdling career?
No, he was always a very exuberant jumper, very, very exuberant jumper, a bit too exuberant at sometimes. But, I mean, he got beat in his first bumper, and he got beat in his first hurdle race to Bobsworth at Kempton.
Kempton, that's right.
So he finished second in his first 2 starts, and then we went for a jumper's bumper when there was a freeze up somewhere at Kempton. Travelled around, and he finished 4th. I thought, maybe he's not as good as I thought. Then we took him to Fakenham New Year's Day, and I thought, right, I'll just let him go out in front. And he just won a little novice hurdle on New Year's Day. And then he won the Dovecote at Kempton. He went to Folkestone, then he won the Dovecote. And he was, I think, got to 146 over hurdles. But yeah, once he went chasing, his career really did take off. I remember when he won at Stratford over fences. It was 5 days before the celebration chase at Sandown. I remember Bob Cooper interviewing me.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, we're going to send him to Sandown. Like, he won on good to firm at Stratford, and then Sandown was the end, well, 5 days later. I said, we're going to send him to Sandown, and I actually think he'll run well in the celebration chase. And he beat, who was it? Also Nicky Henderson's, I can't remember now. Rainbow.
Finian's Rainbow.
Finian's Rainbow, yeah, that's the one. And he had won the champion chase, and he beat him as a novice chaser.
Yeah.
And then, then the following season he cracked on again, and yeah.
Well, let's go through the season of seasons. I mean, that was magnificent. He won at Chepstow, first time up. Then he got beaten at Cheltenham by Kid Cassidy. But after that, he did not see another horse in front of him at the finish line for the rest of that season.
No, and you know, the story with Kid Cassidy, I was gutted I got beat. I thought I went too soon. But I remember before the race, AP says, is he quite good? I said, I think so. And I weren't sure if maybe someone wanted to buy him at that point, you know?
Right.
And then Kid Cassidy beat him. And then I thought, no one wants to buy him now. So I think it was actually a blessing in disguise that he got beat that day. Yeah. And and he went, was it the Slur Chase?
Yeah.
Yeah, he won. No, he got beaten in the Slur Chase, then he won the Tingle Creek.
Tingle Creek,
yeah,
which I've heard you say is the highlight for you.
Yeah.
That first Tingle Creek.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, in the week, it's my favourite race growing up was watching Tingle Creek and watching horses like Viking Flagship going around, Deep Sensation, all them superstar 2-mile chasers. And he managed to get me to win that, you know. And I remember between the last two, I was upside Barry Geraghty, and he just shouted at me, "Go on, mate, go on, kick on!" And
Captain Conan.
Captain Conan, yeah.
When you're living out something like this, in the final furlong of something that you've dreamt about and that you say grow up, are you aware of what you're achieving on the horse at the moment?
Yeah, I was. I mean, that race did mean so much to me, and the horse did as well. It was very, very special, very special. Yeah.
Mm. And the Queen Mother Champion Chase, that obviously for a lot of racing fans was quite special, especially obviously the performance from Sire, who was brilliant that season. Yeah. But also the reaction after the race. That might have been one of the most emotional moments. It's up there with one of the most emotional moments on a racecourse when you and Sire came back in. Let's just reflect on the performance, of course. There's Summersby and sizing Europe in his wake.
Yeah. It was like I got down to the start late, and Dickie Johnson, he said, "Where do you want to go on that?" I said, "I'll drop in down the paint." He said, "Go on, go there." And I was just like, "Really?" That's the measure of Dickie Johnson, you know. He said, "Yeah, you can have that spot there." And thank you. And he just dropped him in the race, and he was just pinging every fence, and we're getting to the top of the hill, and I said to Ruby Walsh, I said, shall I go now? Shall I wait? I don't know. So he said, "No, you want to get on the coattails of them, you know." So because usually I'd go too soon on horses, you know, but I think that was it, half in my mind for the Slur Chase because I went too soon. Right. So that's why I asked Ruby at the top of the hill if I should go. So he helped me out as well. So Dickie and Ruby, they helped me out in that race. And and I got a nice split on the inner, turning in, and the whole race just went like clockwork, really. You know, he didn't miss any fences, but that season his jumping was just unreal. Like I remember when he won the Clarence House Chase the time before, he was just pinging everything. He just met everything on the stride you wanted. Yeah.
When you returned back to the winners' enclosure and you walked back in after the long walk and you turned to come in, did you have any idea of what you were about to encounter at this moment as we're looking at it now?
No, I didn't know. No, it was very.
You saw it. What did you think?
I couldn't believe it. You know, I mean, just a great bunch of lads, you know.
There's Aidan Coleman. I don't know why he's on anyone's shoulders.
No.
But I think you tried to throw him one of Sire's scarves, didn't quite make it.
No.
But that has got to be an illustration of how you're held by your colleagues. I mean, that's something else, isn't it?
Yeah, it was magic, you know. I don't know why they did it, but I think I just got beat so many times when I went to Cheltenham, you know, and he put it right for me, the horse, that day. Yeah.
I remember being there and remember, you know, the reaction from not just the people in the wearing room, but the crowd as well. They knew how much it meant to you, and I think you've always had, you know, people have been big fans of Jamie Moore because of the fact that you seem to be a nice guy, and I think that's what's won people over the years. But the other thing about Sire's season, you know, we talk about horses these days, and I mean, I know that was only 10, 11 years ago, but he had 7 runs in that season as well. You know, after Cheltenham, he went on again. A proper season, one of the best of a 2-mile chaser in recent years.
Yeah. There's a good programme for 2-mile chases where things seem to fit in quite well. He had a heart, you know, and he just tried and tried and tried, and that was, you could run him, you know. And I think after Cheltenham, for 2 weeks we did mind him a bit, and like, 'cause he was walking a little bit shuffly because the ground would have been quick enough, but yeah, we got him back for Sandown and won again. Yeah.
I saw an interview that your sister Hayley did with you last year after Sire passed away. I don't think I've ever seen you as emotional when you spoke to her about how much the horse meant to you, because obviously after his racing days, I think you said it, he was about 4 metres from your pillow and where you slept.
Yeah.
Just how important a part in your life after racing was Cider Grui for you and your family?
Do you know, every bit as important as when he was racing. It's really weird, and I know he was a horse, but when he died, it honestly broke me in two. Because I think it's because what he did for me as a racehorse, but then it got me to them heights. But what he did for me afterwards, it was like, I had my little girl. She was probably about 9 or 10 at the time. She was jumping 1 metre jumps on him. You know, that's my little boy Kenny on him there, just holding him on the front. But he was just so different. And it's what he meant to them as well. Like, he absolutely loved them. You know, he knew the kids, and he used to be, if you went in the stable and you needed to inject him or something, he wouldn't like big people, but I honestly thought the kids could go into the stable and camp there for the night and he wouldn't harm them, you know. And it's like, he knew me whenever I saw him, and it's quite sad because when he went to the vets for 2 weeks because he had a bad infection, probably about this time last year. And it was weird, like, Lucy was taking the kids to see him every day, which is just lovely. And I couldn't because I was racing a bit. And then I went to see him one day, and he heard me walking down the barn, and straight away he's walked to the front and started calling. And I know it sounds absolutely ridiculous, but like, he used to call me every morning, and he heard my voice, and the vet was just like, I can't believe he's just done that, you know. He can hear you talking. And he knew I was coming to see him, you know, like going to see him in the vets. And I thought, he was an absolute freak of nature, you know. There was a time when the kids were in the arena, and I could see him walking. He was just walking around with no one on his back, and there was a jump, which was 80 or 90 centimetres high, and I could see him just walking up to it. And I was probably from me to just pass you away, and I was going, go on in. And he just went and jumped it on his own accord completely. Just went and jumped the jump. And he was just so different. Like, when he trained at home, he trained hard, and he put a lot into his work. Like, he was very strong and keen. And then he turned into a horse where a little girl can get up on him and just canter him around in circles. And he just such a kind horse, you know, really, really kind. and he meant everything to me, everything.
If ever we could bottle up sentiment for what horses mean to people in the sport of racing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. We're running out of time, but I've so much I still want to talk to you about. And one horse that we've got to talk about is a horse that I hope he doesn't get remembered for what happened in the Triumph Hurdle, because he's been a terrific racehorse, but Goan. And before we talk about the Triumph, I mean, his 3 runs leading up to that, people forget he won 3 really good races by a total of 68 lengths.
Yeah.
He was unbelievably good in that juvenile season. But of course, that season will be remembered for what happened at Cheltenham. Are you over it yet?
I don't think I'll ever get over it, but it killed me, you know, because just through letting people down, you know, like my dad, Steve, everyone that's backed him, and that's what hurt more than anything. And I was gutted for the horse as well, because he would have been a superstar that day. But I think why it's remembered a lot is because then COVID hit, so it was like the last thing on everyone's mind. But it was hard, because he really did deserve to win that day.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Director didn't.
Yeah.
But you say you let everyone down. You know, looking back at that is just a freak accident.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's a long stride and he's guessed a bit, and that's. I actually thought I've sat this, and it's just when he got the leg caught, that's when I came out the side door. Yeah, look, it's a dreadful unseat, you know. But I actually thought, for that split second, oh, you've sat it, and then all of a sudden I've gone again, and that's when it felt like the whole world had ended on me. Yeah.
Well, he gave you some great days after that.
Yeah.
He won a couple of Kingwell hurdles. I mean, he's been a terrific horse. We'll talk probably more about him later in the show. But he's been a good horse, a very good horse for the team. He
has. He wasn't over expensive. He's part of the furniture with us. He's a lovely horse to have around the place. And like he ran yesterday, we put the blinkers on him, and bless him, he's just not quite quick enough now. But we'll have to step him up in trip. But yeah, he's won 2 Kingwells. He won the Coral Hurdle at Ascot. Constitution Hill was a non-runner that day, so that obviously helped us. But he's been brilliant for us, you know. And probably he gets so much recognition because I fell off him. That's probably why.
Notoriety as well as fame. You know, what's wrong with that? Before we close off this segment, I just want to say a few things of what people have said about you. I mean, I've mentioned about AP McCoy saying some lovely things. What was the reaction from your siblings to you retiring? I mean, Hayley, Josh, Ryan. What did Ryan have to say?
Yeah, he just said you've done the right thing. You know, they all did. You know, we don't sit there and mope around about it. You know, everyone's got things to get on with. You know, but no, like Ryan just said, look, you've made the right decision. You know, and he didn't want to see me smashed up no more.
And no one wants to see that. Brian Hughes said he's an absolute gentleman in every way, shape and form. Great rider and as tough as teak. To hear that from a fellow member of the weighing room who's the champion jockey currently. Yeah, no, Hughesy, I don't really see him as much as what I'd like, really, because he's always been up north. But whenever I go up north, he always looked after me great, you know, and he's a fantastic jockey. And so pleased he was champion jockey. And the last quote I'm going to say, and it's the one that struck me the most, because watching your family, watching your dad's, I see him as a really tough but fair person. And he said in public, which I thought really struck a chord, he said, he might be my son, but he's a lovely, lovely kid. He's got a lot of determination. I thought that was a beautiful sentiment from your father. Yeah, you don't give him any accolades off him, but he's been brilliant for me my whole life. You know, my mum and dad, you know, they're great parents, and hopefully, like the way they brought me up and everything has shown, you know, through. That's what we tried to do anyway, you know. So. Well, you're going to stay with us, aren't you? Yeah. It's been lovely to talk about so many lovely things, but hopefully we'll get some more out of you. We'll also talk about what the future might hold, and this could be a screen test. Who knows? You could take over Hayley's or you could take over my role. Who knows? You could be Jamie on Sunday. Jamie, thank you for the moment. We'll take a break, and very shortly Cornelius Lysett will be joining us.
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.